going to talk to us today about the highs and lows of the CPL. So, Colin, welcome.
Thank you very much, Andre. Much a pleasure to be here again.
Yes,
Always
yes.
a pleasure to be with you.
Yes, yes. So, as we all know, in this region of the world, the CPL just took place, and the Trinbago Knight Riders just slipped at the final hurdle. Let's just get the initial reaction to that.
Well, obviously, one of disappointment, of course, because we prepared really well. When you go into a tournament, you're not quite sure what the outcome is going to be. So, what you have to do is trust your process. Obviously, the goal is always to excel, which means we look for gold medals, and to excel both on the field and off the field. I think we did a wonderful job in terms of our preparation. I think we did a good job throughout the tournament, but at the final hurdle, we didn't do well. So obviously, that's a big disappointment.
Yeah, TKR is a team, or Trinbago Knight Riders, folks, of course, is a team that really aspires for greatness. There's a lot of preparation, which we'll get into afterwards. But, moving forward, after a game like this, we spoke about the technical things in previous interviews in the past. But as a manager, psychologically, how did that feel, getting so close?
Disappointment, obviously. I think, how we lost the game is the important part. So, if you go into a contest with two good teams that are in a final, it's because they deserve to get there. So you can't take any team for granted. I think in the end, we didn't follow the plans well. We didn't execute the plans well. And the way that we lost and the manner in which we capitulated is which is most disappointing, because we know as a group and as a team we can do better. We've proven time and time again that we can do better. But it didn't work out on that day. So the disappointment is there because it's a competition. And of course, we also disappointed from the point of view of the fans. That's really the hurtful part, that we know that a lot of people are really disappointed, and we can still get the feeling, whenever we go anywhere as individuals, people ask the questions all the time. How did it happen?
Yes. And the chicken curry chicken argument continues, folks. So, folks, just a little information. Keep your eyes peeled to the channel, because we'll have barcodes that will be popping up periodically during the show. Have your phones ready to scan, because when you do that, you automatically qualify for a chance to win our prize. You have to leave some comments and so on. We'll redirect you, and you can win a copy of EAFC. So stay tuned for that. And with that being said, we're going to head to our first commercial break.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That, unlike the no-gets, ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
Hey everyone, so we're back, and Colin, we're going to head straight into the nitty-gritty stuff. People see the game, they see the pitch. We enjoy the stands. I was one of those people a long time ago. But now, there's things that goes on behind the scenes, the stuff that people don't see, folks. And we have the right guy to talk about this. Tell us about the preparation heading into these tournaments.
Well, I think the first preparation really is about acquiring players. And of course, there's a salary cap that each team is governed by. Therefore, a lot of negotiations behind the scenes with players, agents, availability. It all has to do with who is available based on their international contracts, tournaments that they're currently in, tournaments that they currently want to go in, tournaments that are currently signed and contracted to go in. So there's a lot of work behind the scenes. Start maybe in February. Start negotiating with players leading up to a draft. Who's going to do what? Who we're going to retain? Who we're going to release? And how we're going to replace players that will continue to keep a particular balance in the team. So that in itself is a work of art. Once we've gotten past that and the draft comes along, then in that draft you have to have contingency plans. Coaching staff will go through all of their pieces. And then we try to get what we can get and the best that we can get. And then the preparation starts in terms of logistics, hotels, contracts, aircraft, because generally when we travel throughout the Caribbean, we travel on chartered aircraft because it's difficult moving through the Caribbean. So we chartered aircraft throughout each island so that we get there as quickly as possible. We move a lot of equipment. Sometimes we move 180 pieces of luggage. You will know this. We have negotiations happening with CPL themselves, who kind of centrally coordinate. We move with television equipment, banners, marketing stuff. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes to make an event happen. Particularly when you're at home and you have your home leg. The home leg requires ticketing, branding, stadium security, rental of the ground, lights, camera, action. A lot of things happen behind the scenes to make that event happen.
Yes.
So all of those things require a lot of coordination, and it requires a lot of work from the commercial side with the commercial partners, media partners, security partners. It's a lot. So all of those things are a lot of work. There's a lot of excitement behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Make sure that event does happen. You've seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
And so it requires an attention to detail, and very much so, a lot of attention to detail to make this thing happen.
Yes, and folks, as from a fan perspective, we see the pitch, we see the excitement, and it's important that sometimes people understand these things, how much work goes in.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you this question. The CPL starts, we know it starts the same time every year. Time-wise, in terms of the preparation, how long before does these things take place?
I would say the next 2 weeks we start again.
Yeah.
So it's,
Wow.
it's not really a break, we
Yeah.
start doing a post-mortem.
Mhm.
I mean, each facet of the organization does its own homework.
Mhm.
I will have my notes on the tour where I think we can improve,
Mhm.
logistically where I think areas that can make the organization better.
Mhm.
And then each one from commercial arms, we then get together and start having a series of meetings to see what we did, what we didn't do well, what we can do better, what are some of the hurdles, challenges.
Mhm.
And then we start moving forward about players, and then we go through the process of the players, where they are, what they're going to be doing in the next 10 to 12 months, so that we know if we are acquiring players, where we feel they're going to be in terms of their improvement within a year's time, because all those things require preparation. So it's a lot of work. It's not really a switch off point. You may get a couple of weeks off, and then you start going again.
Yeah, and this is not even the sporting component. This is logistics.
Correct.
For example, there was a situation, and we won't call the player's name, but this happens in the CPL. That certain players have to take flights. Even during the pandemic, there were some ridiculous situations.
Yeah.
Players would have to fly from different locations, and you all have to solve things on the fly.
Yeah.
It's not straightforward, and this is a skill set. Is there any particular situation that you always found was probably the craziest of the bunch, which would probably be very hard?
I think during COVID was probably the most difficult, because a lot of borders were closed.
Mhm.
So there were negotiations with immigrations and national security of different places. To get a player, you may have to take him to 7 countries.
Wow.
And those countries are just overnights, and you have to get permission just for an overnight during COVID and so on. It was extremely difficult. Guys coming out of Afghanistan. What we found is when you're working in the Asian countries, visas to get into the Caribbean, visas to come through UK, visas to come through North America are difficult. So the conversations that we have now is not just about acquiring a player, but can that player get here? And can that player get here in time for what we want to do based on where that player currently is? So that's one aspect. Then is the medical aspect of what happens to the player for the next 10 months.
Yeah.
And when we recruit them, we continue to have dialogue with the various medical teams that that player may be playing for in other franchises or internationally. So we understand where that player is when that player gets here. Because we also have to consider fatigue, mental fatigue, physical fatigue, where that player can be based on the amount of tournaments that player may be playing prior to coming to us. So, as I said, it's a work in progress. It never stops. We're not talking the cricket aspect yet. That in itself is a completely different dynamic, but we have to make sure that all of the other facets of the organization are in place and on point, so that when players do come, we understand where they are, we understand what we have to do, and then we take players through the paces, because the ultimate goal always is to provide entertainment, quality, smart cricket, make sure the fans enjoy it, they get their bang for their buck, and in the end, hopefully, if we do well enough, we get another trophy.
Yes, and this is why I phrase the questions like this, folks, because there's so much components to this thing, not just the sporting aspect. Because I know you all have a lot of questions, the usual reactions. People love to talk about squads. Hey, this guy should have played, this guy should have played. And these little things are things that go on behind the scenes. Yeah. Sometimes guys have injuries, they have to fly all over the planet, do all these sorts of things. And, these things are correlated to performance.
100%. You have to look at the families. Yeah. We tend to work with families. This is a family franchise. We pride ourselves on also looking after families and creating a family environment. So it's also important that there are families that are coming out to support them, that are well looked after, and that we ensure that the players are comfortable mentally, psychologically, spiritually in a particular good space to play. So a lot of attention and detail is taken, because they're human beings. They're not robots. They're human beings, and we have to make sure that we provide and facilitate that they can get to a place where they can be at their optimum most of the time. It doesn't always work, but I think we've done a good job in being consistent. Professionalism is about being consistent over a lengthy period of time. I think as a franchise, we've done that. Of course, we are, in the end, hungry for top spot all the time.
Yes.
Right? And that's just how it is. We make no bones about it. We are a competitive group, and we continue to be a competitive group. And once we are there, our aim is to be the best in everything. On the field, off the field, it doesn't matter. We want to be first.
Yes, you heard it from the man himself, folks. And, with that being said, we're going to talk about the match day preparation and the excitement that goes on right after this break.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That unlike the no-gets. Ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
All right, folks, so we're back and we're going to continue our in-depth look into things behind the scenes in the CPL. So the match day, we all love that part. The greatest party in sport. I've been there as a spectator. I've been on the other side, and now I keep switching around. So I appreciate the dynamics of this thing. So tell me, match day, we spoke about the pandemic before, but now we're back to the normal thing now. Tell me how a match day goes.
Well, match day is excitement, that's the crescendo of all the work leading up. It's when the fans get to come out. This is when you connect with fans. So yes, fans come to the hotel, fans send you messages on social media, etc. And you understand, you can get the feel that the expectations are high. The important thing is now it's live and there's no turning back. I think that's where the adrenaline surge comes from. Preparation-wise, generally we'll have a couple of meetings, bowling meetings, batters meeting, then a team meeting. Those are things that clearly outline how you're going to approach each opponent, because obviously there are several teams you play. And on that day, you do the assessments of the wicket. The important and the great part is when you actually get to the ground, you lead up to the ground, you see all the crowds outside, particularly in Trinidad, Guyana. And you come with your police outrider, you just then get the feel that it's game time. You could get the vibe and the excitement from the crowd when you get off the bus. You hear people cheering. You get into the dugout. When you go inside, Queen's Park over is a little different. When you're coming in, you're still now facing the crowd. Once they see you come in, they start cheering and so on. But then there's a series of things we have to do. Obviously, from my perspective, I've got to engage the media immediately. Generally, when I get off the bus, my first thing is to make sure all of the phones and so on are put away. Second, and that's for anti-corruption purposes, security purposes. And then immediately, the media will come to me and make sure who's up next to the next interview, for the pre-match interview. A lot of stuff that has happened before the game actually starts. That's for television. And then security will come and, the usual do's and don'ts. Match referees will come. So that's a really busy time for me leading up to the game. Make sure the team sheet is ready. Obviously, we've got to produce a team sheet for the match referee and the opposing captain. And then we wait, generally we go out. We are extremely scheduled in what we're going to do. So we know we're going to leave at a particular time, arrive at a certain time. We'll pray at a certain time. We'll warm up at a certain time. We'll play football at a certain time. Pollard will take the toss at a certain time, which generally is half an hour before the game. So 5 minutes before that, I just need to show him 5. He'll know it's time to leave. Or any captain that has the experience. We get ready. He comes out, does the toss. At that stage of the game, you have half an hour. Everybody understands who's going to bat and bowl first. We generally know it up front once the toss is taken. Then it's game time. But the interesting part is all around it is the excitement. The fans look at everything. They look at guys training, playing the football. And generally, we will go through looking at the players and they can kind of tell who is getting a little nervous or not. So those little scheduled things are triggers so that players stay focused on the next step ahead. We don't like to get to the ground too early, because when you get to the ground too early and sit too long, then the butterflies start to manifest itself. So we kind of have exact schedules to get in, do what you need to do, and play. And it's designed that way to keep players focused on the next step ahead. And that's the interesting part, is how we get players to move through their paces, continuously focus on when it's time to go.
Yes, because the key word here is precision, folks. Because as a fan, you look and you think that, it's easy to say these guys having a good time and, the CPL and the celebrities. But folks, it's very important to see how much precision it takes. These guys have their time and people, involved and planned in advance. Your days are planned. That 30 months, as you said, off a, pace.
It's planned. Their days are planned. There is free time for them, yes, but they're scheduled things. Each person, and you will appreciate this from the media, have his commercial activities that he has to do.
Yes.
Everyone has a schedule on a daily basis of what exactly is required of them, whether it be a pool session, a gym session, a commercial session with ads, generally a team meeting, or rest time. I mean, the rest time is not random, it's actually scheduled. Everything is scheduled and laid out because ultimately it's about getting to the game. Game day is where the action is. Game day is where the fans come.
Yep.
This is where you're getting real energy from. So sometimes, even if we're tired when we get there as a group, when you turn up, the energy from the crowd is what gets you and drives you through for the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes by the time you get back to the hotel, you're so wired, you need another 2 hours to sleep. And when you do go to bed, it's a very short window, 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
So that fan connection is actually what drives players, but not only players, it's staff as well.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is quite wonderful because it is, does not sound generic here. The connection with the Knight Riders, the Trinbago Knight Riders and the fans is massively, important. The correlation is insane because a lot of people, I brought people to the stadium. There were some colleagues of mine who are not cricket fans. They work in football data. SofaScore, thank you for your support. They came, a guy from Argentina and a guy from Croatia. Know nothing about cricket, but due to the marketing and the vibe, as we say in Trinidad and Tobago here, they knew that they had to be there. They don't understand anything about cricket, but by the time they were done, the experience that they felt was tangible, and they would message me and say, wow, that's amazing. Argentina is a football country. Croatia, cricket is not their full sport. And it's just an example of what you are saying, how it relates to fans who are not even cricket fans. And it definitely has its pros and cons because the demand will be very high. And that leads to my next question. For example, you have players like Bravo and Pollard who returned, dealing with when losses take place or things don't go the right way. And I'm not just speaking from a sporting perspective. Things behind the scenes are not going right. A result didn't go the right way. What's like the protocol, if you're allowed to tell, without divulging too much secrets?
I think as a group, we recognize that we're always in competition. So things don't work exactly the way it's supposed to or you would like it to work. And there are disappointments along with even from logistical things. The key is to keep moving. Fix and move.
Yes.
Assess, adjust, move.
Nice.
And that's standard for you. Assess it, you adjust, you make the changes, and you keep moving. There is no time to spend too much time wallowing in anything. When you're here in a competition, you're about to go and you want to win something, you have to be able to make the adjustments quick. And you've got to control emotions. I'll tell you, when we get to a game, you can look at fans, you can sit where we sit in the dugout, all of the energy that comes there. And particularly, if you're not doing well, you could feel the tension in the crowd. You could feel how quiet it gets. You could feel emotions rising and falling with each ball. It's a wonderful feeling, but it's high pressure.
Yes.
Sometimes people get up and walk into the dressing room to close the door just to get a 50 seconds breather to go back outside. But that is what it's about energy. And I tell you, Trinbago Knight Riders fans and Trinidad and Tobago fans, they bring the energy. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah.
They bring that energy. And if you're not doing too well, you'll hear them. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
They'll tell you. Guaranteed. And we know where the pockets are for those who are the voice the first one, so we expect it. So when we don't not do well today, of course there's disappointment. You could feel that dressing room if we haven't done well or we've lost the match. It's deathly silent. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
You don't need to repeat it over and over. Guys know when they haven't done well. But you don't beat up on them. What you do is you find a clear pathway out of where you are to get back to where you want to be. And that is how you try to build to be consistent.
Yes.
And I think as a group, we recognize that we can't go too high and too low. You can't get ahead of yourself. You have to understand process and stay in that zone. Fortunately, we have senior guys like Pollard, Bravo, and Narayan who played all around the planet. They've won World Cups. They know how to win. They also know how to lose. There's competition. You're never going to win everything, but you're going to shoot and try. But it's all about how you keep balance. Balance is the key. So as a group and as an organization, we try to remain balanced in our approach to things, structured in our approach, and of course, vigilant. So you don't get too ahead of yourself. The hype is there. There's crowds, there's hype, there's music, there's action, there's emotions. Our responsibility as professionals is to stay as level as we can, as consistent as we can, with the right analysis and the right clarity to try to achieve the right result. And that's the best we can do as a professional entity.
Yes, and you read my mind with my next question in terms of pressure. People at that high level with franchises, not just Knight Riders, but in general.
Yeah.
Dealing with that pressure is something people vastly underestimate. To be fair, it's easy to be on the couch and say, oh my goodness, which is part of the game. You all know this. You all are champs, rightfully so. And dealing with that, which you kind of addressed in the question there, is something where you have the experienced players and you have the young guys. So you have the Pollards and the Bravos, and even you, you've been there all the time. Is there an occasion where you have to step in as a manager and you can help some of the senior guys,
Yeah, of course, we help each other. I think it's
I know it's a family,
yeah,
right?
no man is an island. I mean, we have different people for different roles. There are days I'm under a lot of pressure, and somebody else can come along and says, all right, you'll get through this one.
Yeah.
And vice versa, the coach or our medical staff who's excellent, our logistics group, our media group, they're under pressure as well. You've seen it before.
Yeah.
They're under pressure to hit timelines and deadlines from abroad because we are part of a larger organization of franchises. And there are a lot of demands because it's a big, big entity. It's not just, we are just one of the parts of it. And the success of the organization rides on every franchise out there representing Knight Riders. Then we have Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, we feel that pressure to do well. Once it's successful, the expectations is you'll be successful at every turn. It is not the reality, but you can try to do it. You push yourself. So yes, we are under pressure, but we help each other along the way. We understand in that room that everybody in that room is under pressure. We put ourselves under pressure to excel.
Yes.
We also recognize that we're also human beings and that if we follow processes better and try to stay focused, that more often than not, we'll get over the line.
Yes. And that desire for excellence is something that, people and young people as well who, are looking at the show, athletes, or just in general with life, that attention to detail and desire to become more is a very important trait. And, for you aspiring cricketers out there and, people who even want to work behind the scenes, yes, everybody wants to be the cricket guy in front of the camera, but the understanding of the structure of a team. And this is why we're talking here, you have the manager, the players, and that structure. So even the term manager is a term that, you would be the right guy to ask this, the roles of the manager, if you had to summarize it.
I am the bridge between all of the different entities that make up an organization. I am the bridge between the commercial and the players. Media, players, technical staff, players, logistics, players, public players. My responsibility is overarching responsibility is to make sure all of the wheels are turning well, or there is synchronicity and unison in where we want to go, and that the environment, particularly for the players, is one that's conducive to them being able to express themselves and excel, but in a structured environment where you're free to express yourself, but you still have stepping stones and structures that get you to a particular place. So it's really about coordination, keeping the peace, keeping it running smoothly, and making sure all the various entities and the various demands are met, but still keeping a cocoon around the players so that they don't worry about those things, and they can solely focus on why they're there. The reason they're there is that the people came to see them. They're the stars of the show. Our responsibility is to clear the pathway for them so that they can excel, so that the fans, at the end of the day, it's a sport and people love to come and sit and be entertained. That the people get to see the best of those players. Ultimately, it's still about the fans.
Yes.
Players and fans are the most important things. All we do behind the scenes is facilitate all of those, and if we bring that connection closer, then when people go away, they have a great experience. And I think that's the important part. When people leave, they leave with a great experience that their money was well spent and that the effort that they make in supporting, they can look back and say, we didn't do well tonight, but I still love that team.
Yes.
So that's the important.
And to be honest, I could tell you as somebody who has been on both sides of the spectrum, it works. And you could see from the responses after the final. Yes, it was disappointing.
Very.
The comments are there. I pay attention to the social media as well. And it is definitely a tangible thing. And I use the word tangible a lot. We could probably do a word count. How much times are you tangible in this video? But on a lighthearted note, there's all teams have their little traditions, little in-house things, and you know what you're allowed to tell us or not. But one of the things I really like is that birthday thing with the cake. Is there anything beside that you all have that you all do?
No, well, I just generally for the birthday. Generally, on that time, we maybe have 4 or 5 birthdays.
Yeah.
But then that's set up. So generally, what we do is they'll have a cake smasher.
Right. Yes.
So we have to set that up at night, and guys have to get their cake rubbed all in their ears and so on. It's just something we do, but we are cognizant of the fact that we don't make a mess. We fix the area up neatly. Yeah. You have to literally stand in a particular spot. It doesn't matter if you're a big player or not. It does not matter if you're a staff or not. Everybody that has his birthday has a cake to eat, and then you got to get smashed on. That's just tradition over the years that we've carried on. Players like it. And if they like it and they have fun, the
Yes.
key is also to have fun.
Nice.
Life is short, and yes, it's serious when you're planning, and it's a business, but you must have fun. I think that's the key. You have fun along the way. There's only one life that you live here. You may as well enjoy it.
Yes.
And we intend to make people, not only fans, enjoy, but the people that work in the organization must enjoy each other's company and each other's success. That's the important process.
Wow. So is there one particular one outside the cake celebrations that is?
Can't tell you.
Hey, I love that, folks.
Nah.
It's behind the scenes.
That's
One day
a
we'll
big
have an
way
exclusive,
behind.
and that's
Yeah.
what we love about it, the mystery as well. You can't tell them everything, of course.
No
I love
chance.
that. That's actually pretty good. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll wrap things up.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That unlike the no-gets. Ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
All right, folks, so we're back, and we're going to ask some questions that are very fan-centric. So we always hear about the fans, but also the reaction from you, the response to the fans. Let's hear about that.
Exceptional, man. Listen, we've got the best fans.
Yeah.
The costumes, demographics, the ages. You have little kids, the grandparents,
True, that's true.
everything. I mean, and vociferous. It's a great feeling when you get that feedback from the fans. They're always smiling. You know when they're disappointed, but they're not abusive.
Mhm.
You know, you may see one or two things online,
Yeah.
but generally, no. The fans have been excellent.
Yes.
The young people, the smiles and the outpouring of love. It's amazing every time we get to a ground in Trinidad. We look kind of like, and you hear players and stuff say, "Crisis, they really love this team."
Mhm.
And that drives us too, because the outpouring of love that we get is amazing. Any young sportsman wanting to be part and parcel of something like that, work hard and dream big, because the feedback is beautiful.
Yes.
We are not an abusive people at all.
Correct.
You know, and it's not like that. We've been treated really well. We try to reciprocate in terms of bringing some enjoyment and some excitement. I hope we have. But certainly the energy, the costumes, the music, the smoke, the party stands, the ones that are serious, it's all in good cheer. It is an exceptional feeling to get that when you're at work. I mean, it's very rare you could go to a place where you worked and people are cheering you on and telling you, "We're here to help you and we love you and keep going." That's a beautiful feeling.
Yes.
So I think that drives us as a group. It says that we're doing some things right. It spurs us on to do better. And hopefully going into the next round again, we will get better and better. We can't win them all, but if you bring something to the table where people are excited and we could feel it, that love is special. It's really a special feeling.
Yes, folks, you heard it from the man himself. It's important that they understand, and now you know that they're hearing your voices, folks, and how much it means to them. And you know, from a wider perspective, in terms of Trinidad and Tobago, we all have we know the issues that are going on with Trinidad and Tobago, and this is something that, you know, the Trinbago Knight Riders deserve credit for. Is at least when TKR is involved, the country becomes one, which is a very, you know, beautiful feeling.
Yeah, it is. It's really powerful. It's something to see all of the demographics, everybody, every creed and race.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful, man. If people could just hold on to that beautiful feeling and keep carrying it, we will be the place that we know we are and that we can continue to be. But it's really a beautiful feeling. It is superb. It is perfect as somebody living here to feel that love. It's exceptional, man.
Yes, and it's
Really
beautiful. It's hard to really honestly quantify and explain. I really don't think words really do justice to that feeling, because as somebody who is from this country like yourself, that is, at least for those, you know, couple hours, and when the CPL is going on or anything with Trinbago Knight Riders, those things don't matter. And that's something you can't put a price on. Forget tickets and jerseys and all those things. It's a beautiful feeling.
It is a superb feeling to know that you're part of something, even if it's for that window, that you could see people come together and unite. It's a great feeling. It is worth it. It's worth all the hard work behind the scenes, all the labor. It is exceptional.
Right.
Beautiful. It really is.
And just to end things off, you know, we have a couple seconds left. You know, what could the fans expect for the next CPL?
We're coming back.
Oh boy.
That's me here.
Yeah.
We're coming back for sure.
All right.
It's not done yet.
All right.
More to come. 100%.
So with that being said, folks, if you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, scan that code. I hope you spot it because it was going to go throughout the episode. It's going to be there. Even if you have questions for Colin Borde or questions about TKR or whatever you want, you can decide and you can also win a prize, EA Sports FC. So with that being said, it's been wonderful. This is our second Powerhouse episode. Thank you for joining us.